I think the things that I really think about a lot when I am trying to set up that relationship with a direct report is about building, I mean, it's basically about building trust, right? Like the reality is that the manager is there to really help provide the space for individual contributors or for those product managers to actually make mistakes in a way that allows them to learn and allows the product to learn. And so there's a certain amount of like protection, depending on how political your organization is, that can be a more complex job. But then the other thing is too, is that building that trust that the person can come to you when there is an issue before it really comes to a head. I think that's also really important. And it's not necessarily that I'm there to fix it, but it's that, you know, the more I know, like the fact that, you know, maybe bad news travels a little bit faster than good news in certain cases. Like it's important that I'm able to, you know, provide that type of protection, but then also just in general, maybe calm them down when they think something really bad happened. The reality is it's not that bad, right? So I think that like trust is something that takes a while to build. Some of the things that I think really matter when building that trust, one, is that if you do find yourself micromanaging them, they will not have a lot of trust for you. So like that stepping back, I think, is a key thing. Another thing that I think is a good mechanism is weekly one-on-ones. And so I think that's something where I've been at different organizations where they either really focused a lot on one-on-ones or they didn't really care about one-on-ones. And when I say they didn't really care, I mean like in the sense that they may still have a meeting every now and then between a direct report and a manager, but it's really more of a status update meeting than it is to try to understand, you know, how should, you know, try to play act through a scenario or talk about how they could have done something better, or just like in general, just vent, right? Like that's the other thing too. And so those one-on-ones, I usually for about an hour a week. I think that time should be considered holy in the sense that, you know, the manager should not be kicking around the schedule all the time. You know, they should not be canceling it. They should do everything possible that they can to make that meeting happen all the time. Because I think that's the other thing too about being a good manager is that you're really leading by example, right? Like that gets back to that point about, you know, by being a manager, you know what a good employee looks like because you'll get pissed off if the person doesn't act like a good employee. Right? And so it's things like, if you want people to show up on time, right? If you want people to be there early, go in a little bit early. If you want people to ask certain types of questions, you need to ask certain types of questions. So it's really about like that leading by example. And I mean that on so many levels, like, you know, not only just basic behaviors, but even just attitudes or mindsets toward things, I think can really go a long way to helping build great organizations. And that's really the thing is like any great organization or culture is really just this emergent thing that comes out of the behaviors that you set as process, the people that you hire, and then whatever that strategy is that the organization has. And so your goal there is really to constantly tweak the behaviors that are part of this standard process, right? And that's maybe where there's this tough balance between you and the product manager that you're helping manage. What are the processes that you put in place? You are there as a manager to hire the right people. The people that have a good learning mindset, that are willing to do the right thing for the organization, that aren't all about them. And then the last thing is the strategy, and that's where, you know, I mean, as a manager, there's I think it's 7 heuristics of great product management directors. I think it was a post I'd read once, and he is 100% right that you should be a broken record about strategy, right? Like whatever the strategy is, you should know it inside and out. You should be able to recite it to everybody. You should be telling everybody every day what the strategy is. And you should get everybody to be able to recite the strategy back to you. So anyways, that's kind of that trifecta of like great culture within an organization to me. And so managers are really the ones that help set that up for their teams, but also show that as a good example, not only to their people, but to other people within the organization. So that's kind of I guess, a bunch of different things that I think about a lot. But I think that the beginning is having a great one-on-one that constantly happens so that you can have that safe space for people to be able to talk freely, right? It's not a status meeting. It's not something where, you know, they're there to prove to you that their job is worthwhile. It's for them to be able to understand their role better, how you help them, and then how you help grow them.